So I just watched the new live-action Aladdin movie and it was okay. I enjoyed myself for the most part, mainly because my expectations were pretty low going in. Everyone's biggest concern about this movie was Will Smith's genie, and surprisingly, I think he's the best part about this movie. Most of the scenes in this movie felt really lifeless, but whenever the genie showed up, he made everything feel so much more energetic and entertaining to watch. That brings me to a big issue I have with this film. Since it's live action, a lot of the more upbeat characters have been dumbed down to be more serious and boring. Jafar, for instance, was the worst character by far. They took what used to be an interesting character and made him into this cliche villain that spouts out really overused bad guy dialogue. His scenes were easily the most boring to watch. They could have easily made his scenes more memorable by making Iago more talkative and lively like in the original, so that he would have someone to bounce off of, but instead they chose to make him a normal bird that talks more like a parrot every now and then. Even Jasmine's dad used to be this naive, jubilant character, but now is just this bland dude with utterly no personality. On the other hand, I liked all the songs and dance performances. I feel like that's something no Disney remake can really mess up. A whole new world is gonna sound good no matter what you do with it, but what really hurts those sequences are the visuals. All the colors and vibrance of the animation is lost with the more washed out, realistic look of a live action remake. This is a problem I've seen with most of these LADs. By the way, when I say LADs, that's just abbreviated for live action Disneys. Like when you look at these scenes side by side, your eyes are instantly more attracted to the animated version because of how much better it looks. These movies are based off fantastical tales and yet they look so bland. Look at something like the Grand Budapest Hotel. Sure, it's live action, but the way it's shot and the use of colors make the movie feel like it exists in a more surreal reality. Injecting some of that creative visual imagery into a Disney remake would make it 10 times more entertaining to look at. Two LADs that I actually liked were Jungle Book and Christopher Robin. Both of them, Jungle Book more so, included some visual changes to their source material that made those experiences more memorable in my opinion. What I really like about those movies though is that they made some changes to the original stories, or at least modified them somewhat to make the live action jump. Jungle Book opted for a more serious tone with more intense action, and Christopher Robin explored the idea of how an older Christopher Robin would react to meeting up with his old friends again. Since the remakes are never going to be better than the originals, I think it would benefit Disney to try to do more stuff like that with future LADs. More specifically, explore alternate storylines that take a twist on the stuff we know. When I was watching Aladdin, I zoned out a couple times because I felt like I was just watching a worse written version of a story I already knew. For example, I've never seen the old Hook movie with Robin Williams, but I'm more interested in seeing that than I would be in seeing a new live action Peter Pan movie, since Hook deals with a Peter Pan story that's different from the original. Disney seems to be heading in this direction with some movies like Maleficent 2, but maybe too hesitant to fully commit to new stories after the failure of Alice in Wonderland 2. Who knows, maybe the success of Aladdin will push them to make a sequel based on the animated sequel, Return of Jafar. In terms of creative expression, Will Smith even said in an interview that he tried to add his own hip-hop style to his Genie songs to try to make his own stamp on the character.
What Robin did was he took his stand-up persona and used his stand-up persona, and I was like, oh, I could just use my sort of Fresh Prince persona and use that because the genie's been forward and back in time, so you can pull references from anywhere. So I mirrored that, and the hip-hop end was where I saw I could put my own signature while maintaining the nostalgic value.
Now at the end of the movie, after the end title card, there's this one last dance during the credits that I could tell was different than the rest and ended up being one of my favorites. And I think it's because the dance choreographers and other music people probably felt like they had more creative freedom since this dance wasn't a recreation of one of the classic scenes, and because it was technically just a little extra bit after the movie wrapped up. Basically, they knew it wasn't going to be that heavily scrutinized since it happened during the credits. More of that stuff could have given the movie more of its own personality, which is why I think new stories in the universe of the original movies would be more fun to see in the future. This is why I'm not at all excited for the new Lion King movie. It has no interesting visual style and just looks like a bland shot-by-shot remake of the original. So yeah, I'll give Aladdin a 5.5 out of 10. It's enjoyable enough, but nothing you should rush out and see. I really hope Disney puts more effort into their next remakes because as of right now, they all seem like soulless cash grabs banking on nostalgia.